Well, I'm excited to introduce our first guest to the Real Estate Startup Podcast. It is the man, the myth, the legend, Brent Van Auken, or we call him House Redding, which was my biggest competitor when I was flipping houses. But since he's retired, he ain't a competitor. I ain't worried about him anymore, but he was in 19, 20, maybe 21. Brent was in the game. He was one of the guys in Reading. Like, everyone knew him. House Reading. Go look it up. So
yeah, all the moms that want subway tile in their bathrooms.
Yes, so true. And shiplap.
I never went that far.
But you did a lot of redwood.
Yeah.
A lot of redwood accents.
Yeah. All right.
So B, let's hear your story, man. What's your real estate story? How did you get started in real estate?
Wow. Now, if my wife was here, she'll have to like come on another episode to actually tell the truth, because you guarantee I am actually terrified for her to listen to this, because she can be like, Brent, your dates are everything you just did is so messed up.
We'll do that for sure.
Oh yeah. We could have like a dual, it would be amazing. But yeah, so it was 2011 and we moved to Southern California. We were about to have our first baby, and we were living in Reading before. And we went down there, and I was looking for houses, and we had some money saved up. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I worked at a paint store making probably $10 an hour, and Dutch Bros Coffee probably making $10 an hour. And my wife, she was cutting hair. She was making more money than me, which was awesome. And so, yeah, and then basically I quit doing that and became a photographer. I started photographing weddings, but my family has always built houses. My dad was a general contractor. My mom was a general contractor. My wife's family owns a lot of doors. And so basically I watched my grandpa too. He owned 7 houses. And so my goal when I started, I said, I want to own 7 houses like my grandpa. And so, yeah, so we took our first, we visited back to Reading, and we're like, what in the heck? Like, we're never going to, how can we can afford like a townhome in Southern California with living next to all everyone, or we could go back to Reading and we could buy a house. So I was not like, oh, I'm some guru dude that knows anything. I literally knew nothing. All I knew is that people bought real estate and it went up in value. So that was kind of the start. And we couldn't get a loan because I didn't have credit. And so we were 2 weeks away from closing. And then our lender was like, hey, actually, you got this weird thing coming up. And anyway, we'll spare those details. Nothing with us personally, but some things with other money that was showing up that was attached to something else. And so we're like, crap, we can't do this. And so the realtor reached out to the homeowner and said, hey, would you be willing to own or carry? It was 6%, which at the time was oh my gosh, that's kind of high. And then we put a large amount down. So mind you, I was making no money, barely, starting a photography business, and my wife cut hair. And I made whatever. I mean, I think I don't even know if I made $1,200 a month, to be honest. Wow. But somehow we had saved $100,000 in 3 years that we were dating.
How did you do that?
That's incredible.
That's going to be Rachel's going to have to come on here and do a whole podcast about money.
Is it because she cut hair and
yeah,
pay taxes?
When we got married, she had $30,000. I thought I was rich.
Oh, yeah.
I was 24 and she had money, and I had a moped and a
skateboard.
A skateboard and probably some old t-shirts, So yeah. So we ended up buying our first house.
Owner carry with 100 down?
owner carry. No, I think we put like 80 down because we didn't want to use all of our money. So then our payment, we bought it for 185,000. It was a 4-bedroom house with a pool, and we're like, oh my God, like this is huge for us. There's 2 of us. We're only having, we're having our first kid. And there was a part of the house that was kind of separate, but it was like a part of it, but there was a door and you had to go through like the laundry room. Well, it had its own bathroom in a big room. And so we immediately were like, let's rent that out to somebody. It had its own entrance. And so we rented that out. Our payment was like $700 a month with taxes, insurance. And he paid like $450 at the time, which was like whatever. Like I was like, I'm just stoked I'm chiseling off. And then eventually he moved out and we converted another piece of that and we put in a kitchen area, and then we raised. And so we were living rent free.
Nice.
I mean, mortgage free. It was paying our bills. So, so yeah, that was kind of our first investment. And then, my photography career was continuing to grow. So first thing we did after we refinanced the house, got it out of our name, out of our private lender's name into ours. We had equity, of course, as well. And then
how long did it take you to refinance out of that hard money loan?
Like
private loan?
We had, I can't remember, but we had like 3 years, I think, that he would carry the note. And so I think at year 2, I did all the things that everyone, that maybe some people are, learning. Like, I wish everyone would know this is that, it's like, I didn't have credit. So I had to go to like Macy's and get I went and bought like random things there on a credit card. And then like I'd pay them back, and it was so like, cause I never had a car that I got a loan for. I mean, I had no credit. Yeah. And then because of so I was able to refinance. We got the a lower rate, which was awesome. And then we were able to buy. So we had been saving this whole time too. So like we were like, like the Dave Ramsey, like live like no one else. Well,
right.
Everyone else was going out to eat and like, doing all these things. And we were like, just like save. And it was, at times it was kind of I'd be like, I want a new lens to my wife. And she'd be like, well, you need to get another job wedding that pays this much. And then after that, you can get a lens. I'd be like, because smart. Like we had these goals, to save money. So then, I mean, I don't want to bore you with our entire thing, but like, basically we were in a position after we refinanced and we had money. Our friend, Aaron Nelson was like my wife was cutting hair. He was at the salon and I showed up, didn't know him, knew who he was. And he was like, he just finished getting his haircut and he's like, hey, I know of this short sale up the road. And I was like, dude, like I'm ready to buy a house right now. Let's go. I didn't really know him. So we went, I made an offer. I'm like, he's like, you think your wife's going to be okay with this? I'm like, she's cutting hair. Like we're doing business. Like this is like exciting. So we got it. We got this house for like $130,000. And it was like the cutest house. So it's actually been your wife used to live in it.
Oh, is this Walnut?
On Walnut.
Yeah,
on Walnut.
The dream house.
No way.
Yeah, it was a Tudor house, super cool, big backyard, like funky town. Needed like, now I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I would have, like if I had the money I had then, now I would have put a ton of money into that place. But it was cool. So we bought it. We moved out of our other house. We moved into that house because we wanted the lower interest rate. We were willing to sacrifice. We're having a second baby at this point. And basically, like, I'm like, I think this house is going to be worth money now. So within 8 months, I'm like, if I can find somebody that wants this house, I'm just going to sell it to them. So, 130 grand, I think we put 20% down. So it was whatever, 100,000 we owed on it or something. And Well, this guy came to me and I put it out there and I was like, hey, he's like, I always love that house. And I was like, I'll sell it to you for 190 grand. So he went to my lender and I said, go to my lender because she's going to tell you if you can do this or not. And he came back. He's like, I think we can do it. And I'm like, cool. We had to wait like a month or two because of some he had to fix some things with his, finances. And so we sold that. And then
So you made 60,000. Did you do any work to it?
No, I didn't even paint. I didn't even paint it. I mean, maybe we painted it a little bit,
but very little.
I think I painted and I painted I started to but at the time I didn't know how to change out windows. I didn't they were all old.
Yeah.
There wasn't even a central heating and air system. It was swamp cooler in Reading. That's like death.
Terrible. So did you actually move into that house for a little bit?
Yeah, we lived in it. And then, so we sold that. And then we basically had enough money to buy 2 more houses.
Wow.
So then all 20%, down. And so that's when we actually bought the house that is on Gold, I believe on Gold Street. Mm-hmm. This is where Rachel's going to be like, actually, we bought all these other places. Yeah. But we bought, that house and it had, so I saw it come up on the internet and I was like, oh my gosh, this house is sweet. And I looked and I'm like, no one else is seeing this. There's already a garage in the back that has a hot water heater, a shower.
Oh, heck yeah.
It had its own meter, not with the city, but just so you could track.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, this is going to basically pay my mortgage.
Wow.
So I went in, we did some work. We updated the electrical. I put in a stove, we put some can lights in, painted it all white, left the floor. It's still the same floor. It's brown. It's not my normal coolness, and it had a carport in the back and it was in an alley. And so we've owned that house for 10 years. I've never, it hasn't been not rented for a week in 10 years. So, I mean, I think we've pulled in over $150,000 just from a $3,000 investment I had to make in the back to get it to that point. So it's always been, and then we Airbnb'd it at one point. City didn't like that too much. And we've done some other stuff. So yeah, I have more properties, but do you have any questions? I don't want to give you the long, boring,
and that's where you live right now, right?
Biography.
You live in that house?
Yeah. Yeah. We've lived there three or 4 times because we've moved, but we also bought. So we always wanted the owner occupy rates. So we would move
right
to these houses.
Of course.
And then we stopped, there was houses we've bought in that I clearly couldn't live in because we have 4 kids. So yeah. So it's so we have right now we have 7 houses. 3 of them have guest units and I'm in escrow right now. I'm going to close on 2 more houses just down the street from me. So
is that 12 doors?
Yeah, about, I'd have to, I'm not I don't even pay attention to that, but yeah. I probably should. I got to write that stuff down. But yeah, so we've got 3 of the houses have guest units and then the rest are single family houses. So right now we bought them when they were lower, a lot of them. But I always tell people now, even the ones down the street from me, I've been doing this for close to, well, again, I'm going to be wrong. My wife's getting back. We've only been doing it for 12, but I'm going to say 50. We'll give myself 15 years. So, 13, 14 years. And I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought.
You're good.
We didn't call Rachel right now.
I know. I'm trying to figure out. Bring her in for the real thing. She's like, no. But yeah, so I was never a person that thought oh, I need $1 million doors. My whole entire life's goal was to be able to get enough properties that it covers my monthly expenses. And because I'm creative in other ways with photography and design and whatever, and I have passions for traveling and like nonprofit stuff, like my goal was to always to get to a point where I was young enough that I could say, oh yeah, like this month I'm headed to Brazil. Well, I'm going to go, photograph skate because one of my passions is skateboarding. And I'm going to go work with like, youth at risk and like, underserved kids. But that's like, I can say, I'm really thankful because I get to say yes to that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that was the goal. And plus be around for my kids and to say yes to things with them. And then also it just really allows me to be available for people. I mean, even this week I went to 2 different places just to like lend a hand with communicating whether or not I thought like what they were buying was a good idea or not, which is cool. Sometimes I'm like, oh shoot, like maybe I should start a business out of this. But then it's like, then I'm like, oh no, I'm like, that might take the fun out of being available,
Yeah.
Right.
and saying yes to certain people because I'm learning all the time. I mean, all I do is learn, and I don't think I have all this figured out. If anything, I like now that I have what I have, and I'm really thankful. I want to, lean on other people that can challenge me to say, hey, well, you've had this property for this long, but what if you took this equity and turned it into, double?
Right.
And that's, yeah. So that's what I kind of did. I recently sold a property I had in the country and I'm moving. Like basically I knew when I saw it, it was one of those A-frame houses. Reading people have probably seen it on the internet, but
House ready.
for those house reading, bro. No, and so that was like a really cool experience. Like we didn't even live in Reading because we left. I was doing a project with a brand out of town for like a year. We came back and I found that house and I was like, dude, A-frames. I mean, all you got to do is say A-frame and every like
it's so hot.
Anybody with a film camera or their hipster person that shops at vintage stores, they're gonna like be like, this is my house,
Right.
this is my house. So we cleaned it up. I did like I call it like the Brent flip, like the BVA house reading vibe. I didn't go too crazy because I knew that someday we might sell it, and it was awesome. Like when the time came, we were able to sell it. And so now I'm in a really cool spot where it's like, I'm like, hey, this opportunity came up. Now I can go after it and I can be the first person to do it. And I don't have to like call a lender and be like, hey, like, are you going to help me out with this?
Right.
But that's taken a lot of years, to get to that point. So, yeah.
So you mentioned Rachel's name quite a bit, your wife. What's that dynamic like? How do you guys work together in real estate?
Yeah. Well, she runs a pretty tight ship
Sounds like
with
it.
finances. Like even just yesterday, she's like, come and sit with me. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, you for real? I got to do this. And then she's like, and then I get up and she's like, where are you going? And I'm like, oh, okay, we're still doing this. And so she has like this spreadsheet of every property we have in this, whatever, Google Doc or what, I don't know. It's like, whatever.
Google,
I guess that's what people use.
Spreadsheet.
Google spreadsheet. Yeah. So she's got every house, every expense, like how much we owe, what we rent it for, like property tax, this. Like some of them, like we have, like we pay internet because there's like 2 people that live there and like we just split that. So it's like, it's like all these little minute details. And then she's like, Brent, we're spending a lot of money on our subscriptions, and I'm like, okay, like what do we, so she goes through and she's like, what are these, what are we not using? Because this is coming out of our bank account every month, So
she's more of the business mind. You're more of the creative.
Yeah. So that's her, like So she basically is like, hey, if we're going to keep doing this, or we have goals, this is what we have to save. This is what we need to like. And then she's the one that's like, we're talking with like our lender. So every year we talk to our lender and we say, hey, like, because we're self-employed with photography and our rentals, it's like we have to show, like,
right.
Before we'd be like, well, what do we like we want to buy a house, but the lady, the lender's like, well, you need to show you made X amount this year. And I'm like, gosh, that means like I'm just going to pay more taxes.
Yeah.
Right.
So for some years we paid more taxes, even though we had write-offs, because we knew that it was better for us to show that we made money rather than to go, well, we couldn't buy that property.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather pay $3,000 or $4,000 more in taxes and have a house that's worth $100,000 more in a year, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's we always tell, like, if friends come to us, they're like, we want to buy a house, and we're like, well, first talk to a lender. Don't talk to one that just needs money, because there's a lot of people. I mean, same with realtors. There's realtors that, like, if they don't sell you a house, like, they don't pay their own bills. And so it's always important for me, at least, to like work with people that are already, well, give new people a chance. Their characters are probably the most important part, but like finding our lender to help us through that was important. And it's something that's often skipped over, because people always ask me that. And I say, well, you need to talk to the lender. Like, you have to figure out how to find money first.
Right.
Like, you can't have a grandiose plan. Like, the plan is no plan if you, because 9 times out of 10, someone goes there and they go, well, dude, you need to pay this off and you need to fix this before you can even get a house. So it's like, plan now, even if you don't think you're going to buy a house right now, start working towards those things.
Start
and I think
sooner than you think.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I tell people, they're like, even at the coffee shop, people are like, hey, let me ask you a question about this. I'm like, if you want to buy a house, you gotta just save your money, make sure you're showing the right amount on your taxes, and like save 6 months worth of reserves.
Right.
I'm like, it's another thing. If you have a friend that has money that's going to let you borrow it, or a relative, or, something like that. But the majority of people out there are going to have to, put 20, or, you can put less down, but in this market, it is hard to just put 20% down and receive, a return.
Right.
At times. But yeah, I think that's, so yeah, anyways, Rachel is the financial side of things. Absolutely. And then mine is creatively finding houses and knowing that it's like a yes or a no. Sometimes it'd be fun. Like, I've thought about just posting like every house that it finds interesting, about sharing that, with people. Cause I'm like, well, shoot, like, I don't have a network of people that I'm not like that kind of guy where I'm like all connected to all the realtor dudes and all those things. Like, I'm just like free flow, beat to my own drum most of the time.
But you kind of are. You're connected. I mean, the thing I like about your story is it seems like it's been more of a slow burn. You're such an entrepreneur, and so you guys are able to save money for down payments, and then you're starting to make more money with photography, which allowed you to do more down payments. But you also bought properties really well, like that one on Walnut, where you bought it at a good price and basically flipped it doing no work. And that allowed you to buy 2 more houses. And it was just this slow process of just slowly buying more, but making sure you're buying really good deals, that cash flow. It's like you weren't taking huge risks, right? You're doing very calculated stuff.
Totally. I always was like, and some people have like rules, like big investment,
like guidelines on what they want to invest.
Yeah. And I didn't ever have, maybe I had them, but I didn't realize it, because I'm always like, oh, like, this house is sick. And I'm like, okay, let's take all like the emotion out of them. Like, A, I can rent this thing. B, there's something like someone forgot about, like okay, this is random, but we bought this house and it was a 1-bedroom house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, people are missing this whole part of the house. I turned it into a 2-bedroom, right? Well, like 1-bedrooms are hard because you have to, like, I have 2 of those 1-bedroom houses, but anyways, the long story short with those is that I always plan that I got them for such a good deal that I'm going to put a second unit behind them.
Yeah.
Nice.
But like this house, right? It was like cool, flat roof, modern. I put like the wood in the front. I made it dark. I made my own like front door with like frosted glass in it. I updated the windows. I put in a cool kitchen. Left the bathroom was like kind of good, but not like amazing. And then there was just like this long room, and I have a story about that. Oh man, the day I closed on the house, there was like I don't know what words you can say on here. Under the influence of probably some type of gnarly drug, they were in the closet, and I was there.
What? They were in the closet?
I was there for 30 minutes. It was snowing. I was tearing up the carpet because I'm like, I had like three different flooring options in my hand, and I was like, okay, I got to do new floor in here, this and that, and then my buddy comes over and he walks and I'm like, oh yeah, go check it out. So I'm like still working in the front room, and he goes, oh my gosh. And I was like, was there like a spider? And I walk back there and there's these 2 people in the closet. And I was like, what? And me being the kind of guy I was, and this is, I guess, my soft heart. I felt bad because it was snowing and I knew that they were just and there was no heat in the house because like there wasn't like the electric wasn't even on. So I was like, shoot, these people aren't doing it. Anyways, so I end up praying for them in the front room that like God would just like protect them and give them a better day. Meanwhile, he's wearing a backpack and he's got like a blower in his hand. I'm like, where did you get that? I'm like, I could really use that back. I didn't say it, And so they're walking down the street and he's got like this $1,800 leaf blower on his back. And, anyway, so.
Wait, you didn't hire them to help you with the demo?
Bro,
I mean,
no,
you had laborers right there in your own house just camping out.
They weren't doing too hot.
Ooh,
let me tell you.
Like
I was like, wow, like this is, and then it gets better. I see the guy like 2 days later walking, and I stop. This is just my weird person, like my quirky personality. I stop, and I'm like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm the guy from the house, and I'm like, I just want to see how you're doing. Are you doing better? Like, and then I'm like, what? Like, anyways, I care about people. So it's like, I'm like, I really want you to like succeed and do well. And like clean,
That's so
you can
nice.
do this, like clean yourself up. And I'm like, but at the end I was like, but never, ever, I never want to see you on my property again. And he was like, yes.
That's good.
But anyways, that house, I meant to just say, it was 1 bedroom. It had this crazy long, big bedroom. I punched a hole through one area, and eventually, like I kept that house. We rented it out. It cash flowed great. I think I got it for like 120 grand, and I think we sold it and we made 100 grand.
That's good.
And
that's awesome.
We just bought another house. So I think like the way it was like we could snowball into these new things is because we always had reserves. I mean, this is important. We always had money in our bank account. So when we did sell something, it was like, boom, now we got money, because the more houses you own, you also have to show that, I had to show it's like, well, hey, if I have got 6 houses right now, I have to show I can pay the mortgage for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
For all of these.
Right.
And I have to show my taxes and all these things. So it was always like, that's what Rachel really helped, like, set goals and just basically most of the time, even now, like, I don't know, like she has a strategy and I just kind of like, she's like, you need to make a little bit more money this month on photography. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I'll do that. I mean, even this month, like, even though like, oh yeah, things are like houses are awesome and stuff. Like like for me, if I want to keep growing and like, you know, I have 4 girls, so it's like they're all going to get married. They're going to be, you know, hopefully some of them have like small weddings. Or Ben will just have them all at your house, you know? And so those are like, yeah. So I'm in discovery phase right now of like opportunities to be creative within like my real estate like portfolio, because I'm not like, oh, I need 50 doors. Like I feel like in the next 10 years, I'll slowly start, like I'm just slow now. Like, okay, there's a good deal. All right, we'll sell that property. We'll move it into this property, or we'll buy, you know, we'll put an ADU at this house. Because ADUs, I'm telling everybody, it's like if you don't have ADUs and you own single family homes, it's not even worth it if that's what you're trying to create income. I mean, that's what I've learned. So like I have a property right now, I'm thinking about selling it because it has a sewer, or it has a septic system, and it's on a well. Well, it's a cool property. I cash flow, but I'm like, I could take that equity and like double that cash flow, because I can never put an ADU unit on there because I have to hook to the city sewer and plumbing, you know, like for water and stuff. So it's like, I'm not going to spend $100,000 to connect the water. So it's like, anyways, that's my next, that could be my next move, right? It's like, I'll take that and find these other properties, and then hopefully, you know, refinance if the rates, you know, the rates hopefully will change for everybody in this world soon.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like my, it's like little puzzle pieces, right? Or Monopoly. I don't play that game, but
you move things around, like depending on how things are performing, how much equity you have, you might trade it up for more units or whatever. One thing that, you know, like I was saying before, you were flipping houses for a couple of years there. What got you into flipping, and why'd you stop flipping?
Well, so I kind of went through an artist lull for a while as far as a photographer. And so I was like, honestly, I was depressed. I owned another business in Oregon that failed. Like for me, it failed. I had business partners, stuff that didn't work the way I thought it was going to work. And it was really hard. So I was depressed and wasn't really shooting. And then another flipper in town that has done, like, he wrote a book about it. And so I'm like, wow, I can learn from this guy. And so I randomly ran into him. We're like polar opposite, right? Like he's got like a collared shirt on. He's got like, you know, his glasses don't look like my vibes. Like, but like, anyways, Terrence, love you, buddy. Thank you for helping me a lot. So like, he'll say this too. He's like, you know, we're not, you know, we just joke around. But what was cool is I got to learn how to flip a house without having to figure it out myself. He said, hey, I have this project. I know that you're really good at design and budgeting on like making things look a certain way. Why don't I pay you to do this? And I said, well, let's talk about this. I said, let me do this, but I will guarantee you every house that we do, I'll find you a buyer. So then I facilitated a lot of like working with him to get this house looking the way it did. And then, so for probably like 6 or 7 houses with him, I found the buyer for every single house from my house reading Instagram. Wow. So I had dibs on houses even before we closed escrow on them with him.
So cool.
That's and so good. I was like, hey, I even had a price. So I'd be like, hey, this house is probably going to be like $315. We get it for like, you know, $100,000. I'd put $100,000. We'd put 100,000 into it. But Terrence was like the man with finding deals. I mean, I'm like, if there's a dude in town that finds the deals, it's him, right? Like, I don't even know where people like hit him up. Like he just has these deep connections from being around here for so long. And so like we'd flip we'd flip the house, and then he'd be like, "Hey, I have like 2 more." I'd be like, "Okay."
Wow.
Like at one point I was driving around like constantly, like basically kind of playing designer on all these houses. And so for me, it ended up being like really cool experience. And then like we were like doing profit sharing with each other on some of the places. So he's like, "Hey, I'll do the house. We'll just split the profit. And I'll pay you to like help me like design it." So I'm like, of course, like that's, and it was for me because of my personality. I was like, "Hey, this is still calculated and it gives me money to buy more houses." So I was able to use the money I made from houses with him. And I'd be like, "Babe, like one house, he was like, 'Hey, if you do this and this, I'll write you a check after we close for 20,000. And I was like done. Like, and it was creative though. It wasn't like I had to do the paperwork. I didn't have to like talk to the person really. I mean, I talked to them, but it was like I used my gifts to make it happen.
So cool.
And then he was like the closer, and we won. So it's probably not as traditional as like normal house flipping, but I did do some just on my own with borrowed money. And honestly, I mean, this is like really candid. I didn't enjoy it as much because my personality is like I didn't like getting like the money part. I was like, I'm not that hard of a boss, you know? And so I'm like, "Yeah, let's chill out." And it's like, "It's 3:00. Let's have a beer," you know, like whatever. And you're like normal body. You're like, "Hey, we got to get this done." Like,
Right.
you know, I'm like in the construction world. So I had a cool little team of guys that helped me with a lot of projects, and it was cool. We got to like hang out, you know. It was like, I was nice to them, and they got paid, and they learned, like a couple of the guys got to learn quite a bit, and now they're on their own doing their own stuff. But long story short, all of that was a means for me to buy more houses.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to get a job. I just like, I'm 38, and my goal was by 40 to have enough cash flow coming in that I could just be like, cool, like I can say yes to this and no to, like, you know, say yes to the things that equal what our family ecosystem or whatever and our goals are, opposed to, you know, it's never a fun place when you just have to say yes to something, because if you don't, you're going to be hosed.
Well, I think it's brilliant because you leverage your skills and talents. Like the fact that you're so good with branding, creativity, design, you built a team, you manage these projects. You made money off of him finding really good deals and him putting in all the money. You didn't have to bring any money to the table, low risk.
No.
It was just like you creating a brand and using your creativity and your network to make these happen. You make good money doing it. And it's like, that's a cool example of what other creatives can do and how they can get into real estate investing and flipping without any money. They just need to find an investor, a business person, and partner up with them. And think about that. Like if I'm the business guy, I don't have a lot of time. I don't have the energy. But if I find someone like you that has the network, has the skill set, the community, like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And not always, I mean, in some cases, like Ben, you understand design, but a lot, and Michaela, I don't know you, so I'm sure you do too.
She does. She's great. She's a photographer too.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like you can really connect with a person that is strictly like, "Hey, I just want to buy these things." Like, and what was cool with Terrence is like, he was like houses, I wouldn't even see, like, I was like nervous. I'm like, "Dude, Terrence bought the house. He gave me the keys. I haven't seen him for like 3 months." Like I'm like, I hope I'm doing this like the way we're supposed to do it. But he was always like, would show up and he'd be like, "What? Like, this is amazing," you know? And then and then we'd find, the buyer and we'd close. And so part of it was like, I would share on my network within the people I know. And then like everyone knows, especially at least in Reading area, I know that like other areas, it's easier to find houses like that are done. You say it's really hard for someone that wants to come in, like right now, and find a house that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house or whatever, even just a 2-bedroom house that has the aesthetics that somebody like me would want. And so what I would do is kind of like, hey, like I would want this. And then it's like it pulls on like the heartstrings, too. And it's a marketing, because tile costs the same. Like you can put taupe tile on the wall or you could put white tile on the wall. You're going to pay your tile guy the same amount of money.
That's right.
Right. And so your vanity choice, your tile choice, your like, you can get really nice stuff on Amazon that looks like the $400 thing and works pretty similar. Is the quality the same? Probably not. But you're also not selling a house that you're saying, hey, these are luxury like items. You're just saying, well, we use the matte black instead of like some like price fister, weird looking,
chrome.
Faucet. Yeah. Chrome from Lowe's. Cause I mean, I think Lowe's and Home Depot are finally like starting to figure out that like, maybe they just had overstock like forever. And now they're getting like new, like they're finally like getting like faucets that are relevant, and they're some of their tiles. Okay. But, like we live in an area, or I live in an area, where like we don't have like Bedrosian and we don't have like massive warehouses full of like tile. And so my safest bet was always like, well, there was subway tile in the 50s. There's subway tile now. It's like it's cheap. It's cheap, right? And it's like, so for flips, I always did like quartz countertops. You know what I did? I drove down to Sacramento, went to the quartz warehouses, loaded up my Sprinter van with slabs of white quartz, and I'd bring it back. Well, I paid like $300 for 10-foot pieces, I think, at that time.
Wow.
They're probably up to $400, $450 now. Wow. But like if you went over to the quartz place in town, you'd pay like $1,200 for the same thing, and they'd be all weird. And it's like, you're like, dude, you guys literally, this is like China prefab. Like I'm not going to pay that. Right. And so I would take the slabs to my guy, and he would, because he didn't have to do any of the work of picking it up, he'd give me a good price. And it was always $3,000 less than what a guy would probably charge me.
It's amazing.
That was coming in. And so it's like those little like value adds, and it's like, or an exhaust fan instead of having a microwave, it's like we put exhaust fans that were like, you can get them for like $2 to $250 online, and it looks good, and they've got the lights, and and you put your subway tile in, and you can, whatever. It's like all these little things.
Yeah.
And those were what I focused on. It's like house color too, like little ads. Like I always used redwood. So like some of the entryways I'd wrap when you came in, or like I'd trim out windows with redwood, or like I'd do a wall with redwood, like not inside, but
just accents, accent walls.
Yeah. Accent walls. And then you're like square trim. It's like, because if you would hire a guy, here's the thing, other flippers have people come in, and it's like some dude that literally, like if you went to his house, you'd be like, okay, this guy's like no design. Like he's just like, smoking a cigarette, sitting on his back porch or chewing, and it's like, that's not going to be your guy that's going to choose your, like, they're going to get like some crazy crown molding like thing. And then, and they're going to cut it differently, and they're going to have these ideas. It's like, you don't want them to have any ideas. It's like, no.
Yeah.
So it's like creating a team or finding someone that understands. I mean, people are understanding more now than they were when I started, but it was like LVP, it's like the simpler, the better, because if I'm flipping, it's like, I don't also want to see that this person is tearing out the entire bathroom that I just did.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, I want them to be stoked on their house. And then I want them to tell their friends, because that's going to help, like, not only me, but it's going to help elevate other people's, because I want to inspire other people that are like working on houses or flipping to be like, hey, instead of doing these, like, instead of buying the tan tiles with the weird, I mean, they're literally like in my bathroom right now because I haven't remodeled it since we moved back in. But it's like with subtle changes to things, you can change an atmosphere.
That's right.
And I think that's like as far as flipping goes, and now with the internet and Pinterest and all that, it's like you can't really not see what's in style, but yeah, I think just simple things.
Yep. Let me ask you this question, and then Michaela, if you got some questions, you should ask Brent. What's been the biggest challenge you've had to overcome in real estate?
Wow. On the spot question. That's a good one. Wow. I got to dig deep on that.
Come on, man. Come on, tear it open. Tear it open, bro. Don't be shy. Come on.
Biggest challenge? I would just say like patience. I think I like want things to go fast, and I want things to move along, and patience and in finding like a balance between like what I think I have to do to like, hey, this makes sense, like for either a rental, overcoming like the thought of like, oh, like I have to buy this house and make it this way, and I'm going to keep spending money till it gets to that point. It's like I think for me, it was like I had to figure out, and it was really hard. It's like, okay, I can't go beyond this point.
So you'd have to say no to some things, like, hey, maybe you want to add a fence in the backyard, do some landscaping, but it's not in the budget. So you got to learn how to say no and say yes to certain things.
Yeah. And then also the other hard thing is like, yeah, you have to constantly be aware of your own finances, because if you're only planning on doing one, it's not a big deal. But if you're like, hey, over the next 10 years, I had to like think, I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do this because this is going to affect me saying yes, and the greatest place to be able to be in, right, when you're investing is to wait for that deal and to say yes.
Right.
And then to know that it's a good deal. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty good at it now, but it took me a long time to figure out like, okay, here's the process basically. And it's not that complicated.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think listening to your story for me has been super inspiring. And part of that, it hits me personally because I was a wedding photographer for 15 years and I still have a company that does the micro wedding. So whenever your daughters need that, just let me know.
Yeah, I'll wake you up.
we do them all over Europe and in Europe and the US. But so now I have the teams outsourced. So I have probably 90% of it is outsourced. So I can do full-time real estate investing. But in the case of what you're talking about, it sounds like you're still shooting. Is that kind of what I'm hearing? You're still actively doing photography?
Yeah. A lot of it's either personal work or like philanthropy.
Okay.
Like I work with an organization that I go on trips with them, and they pay for my trips, but I don't pay for anything.
Yeah.
But I obviously, like if someone was to take me on a trip, it would cost them thousands of dollars for me to come work with them. But like I'll go do that. But that opens up other opportunities for me, which doesn't mean that I'm monetizing it to make money. I'm monetizing it to make relationships.
That's cool.
So
I love that.
But I mean, not for gain. It's yeah. And then, yeah, I do like, I just shot for like 3 different brands in the last month. So
Super
I'll shoot
cool.
for like lookbooks, ad campaigns, like mostly outdoor stuff. I mean, the last 2 years I helped with the local, I kind of helped consult and photograph for Visit Reading,
Super cool.
which is like the tourism barrel, which was really cool because I got to be there from the day one that a guy named Danny got hired. He took it over. It was complete trash before. That's right. If you ever did that, it was terrible, like straight up. I don't feel bad at all. And it is amazing now, right? So it's like, those are things like, yeah, I got paid. Like, was I making what I was making when I was shooting like a bazillion weddings? No. But I would get a message one day and be like, hey, you want to go skiing today? You just got to like go snowboard and shoot photos of people ripping around. I'm like, cool. Hey, you want to go up to this spot where like we're doing like side by sides and, or like dirt bikes or, canoes and outdoor stuff. So basically it's like doing that type of stuff is like what now it like kind of brings me life.
So cool. Yeah.
But I get to say yes to things that I want to say yes to.
Yeah.
In the past, I would say, hey, you want to photograph my daughter's quinceañera? I've never done one of those, but I'd be down. Hey, if anyone has one out there, I'm not above anything, but it's like, now I'm like, oh, I'm good. Like, hey, why don't you hit up Bob, it's like, he'll do the quinceañera. He's going to be a lot cheaper than me.
Yeah.
So that's fun too. Yeah. So I'm excited that I have space to say yes to things, but I also like, with my personality, it's like I don't know if you're familiar with the Enneagrams. I'm a 7, like the outgoing, but I'm also like, I don't want to miss out on life.
The enthusiast.
Right. Yeah. So I'm like that's like, I want to say yes to everything that equals like the stoke,
right.
Which is also, also not always a great thing for the people around me.
Rachel, but your family.
Rachel, love you. Thank you. No, she's really good with encouraging me. I mean, even like I've been to Cuba a couple times this year, and like I've done some other trips, and like I'm going down to Brazil, and like I have some other, I might go to Paris for the Olympics, but those are like meeting those needs, which of like that I'm passionate about. But real estate's really helped me be able to do those things. And I'm not rich. I'm not poor. I'm just steady with what's in front of me. And who knows, it's like, I don't do it because I think I'm going to be rich. Real estate, I'm just trying to create a lifestyle.
I love it.
That I can spend time with people and be available.
People like me.
People like, yeah. No, it's great. I mean, my wife always jokes with me because I skateboard. The weather's been kind of cruddy, but yeah, if anybody wants to invest in an indoor skate park, hit me up. But nice. I don't know why I always look this way. Like there's like they're out there.
They are out there.
They are out there.
They're out there, especially since I'm the first one. Hopefully someone listens to this. But yeah, like she's always like, what 38-year-old man is skateboarding at 10 o'clock in the morning? Like every day.
Oh, that's so good.
But in my mind, I'm like, well, a lot of people. There's a lot of me out there. Like, because I'm like, there's got to be like, because I'm friends with those guys, right?
Right.
It's like those are the, because everybody else is usually working at 10. Right. So like, I got to find the, Ben's one of them. Sometimes has time in the middle of the day for me. But he's last. He's like, shut up. But yeah, I don't know. Any other questions?
That's good.
Kayla,
I mean, I feel like I could totally keep asking you questions, but for the sake of time, I guess we should probably wrap up. But just super inspiring to hear your story.
Be like
a 3-hour Joe Rogan.
It's like a Joe Rogan. It's like Brent. The people are like, wow, Brent went on for 3 hours about himself.
We could do it. But
oh no.
I've got one last question for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything that Brent has done, from little Brent to big Brent, if none of that was there, no one knew anything about you. Like no social media accounts were out there. House Reading didn't exist. What 3 things would you want the world to know about Brent Van Auken?
Wow. this could have been like a question to ask before. Holy cow. 3 things that you want me to,
You want
like,
the
people
world to know
about me?
about Brent.
Wow. One of them would be probably the thing that drives me the most is probably my spiritual connection with God and my family. And that's like the most important thing to me. It's not always easy, but I want to be and strive to be that guy and that dad and that husband. The other, man, this is like, I'm gonna have to go cry after this or something.
It's all right.
You can call me. I'll hold you.
Oh yeah, I'll still be over. The other, let me think, man. Another thing would be that if you knew, I don't know. This is hardcore, Ben.
You got it.
I care about connecting with people and encouraging the people I'm around more than my own goals. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like encouraging people, like seeing other people like break through and help people.
Yeah. I mean, someone asked me recently, because I was like 7 or 8 months ago, I was a little bit struggling with where direction I was going to go, and this guy was like really good at asking. He's like a coach, but not, and he was like, what is it that you like want to do in life, like your dream? And I'm like, I just want to see other people like crush, like whatever that is. It doesn't mean business. I'm just saying, like, if you want to be like an awesome, like, have a gym, or if you want to just like be really good at making bread, it's like, I'm just so excited to come alongside and encourage people with what they're doing and their passions, because I get like inspired too by when people are following after like what they were made to do.
So good. I love it.
Yeah. And 3, man, yeah, 3.
Dude. One more. Those 2 are great, by the way.
I mean, 3 would be that I want people to know, I mean, obviously within like reason, that I'm like a guy that I look up to a lot, and has really like helped shape like my person, like not my, well, I don't know. And he spoke, I like subscribe to him because of like how humble he is Bob Goff.
Love Bob.
And he's always available. We love Bob. And like, I've given, whether or not you believe what Bob believes or not, like about God or any of that stuff, it's like Bob is Bob, and he's available.
He is available.
And he's and so for me, I guess it's like, I would want like people, it's like, not every, I mean, gosh, I'm not going to put my phone number on here, but I don't know if I'm as hardcore as Bob, but
you don't want to put in your book like he did.
Yeah, no, well, I don't have a book. So maybe if I have a book, I'll put it in there.
There you go.
But it's like, I want to be available to not only my family, but friends. I mean, Ben, you said this to me the other day. I don't know if I'm supposed to, well, yeah.
Man,
I mean, kind of like the gist of it is you were like, you're a safe place. Like you make me feel peaceful when I'm around you. And it's like, I think that's like comes from like, I want to see everyone succeed and do well. Cool. Like my dream is like same with my kids. It's like, it's really hard to like, I'm just like, I just want them to like find what they love to do, learn how to do it, become really good at it, and like make sure they're available to share that with other people. Because if you keep things to yourself, I don't know. I just don't want to keep things to myself that I've learned so much. But most of that comes through relationships. So if you know me, yeah, I mean, if you see me at like a coffee shop, I'm probably the guy that's talking to 5 different people by the time I get out. Partly, sometimes I'm like, shoot, am I like talking too much to people? I mean, really, I'm like, yeah, let me know if I am out there. Because like, I like, you're like, actually, Brent.
I'm like, go, Brent, I'm having a meeting. Leave.
Yeah. But like, I just get so excited to see, like, if someone's doing something.
That's so good.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm like, not that I don't care whether or not, like, I don't need a piece of your pie. I just want to like a piece of your time, because like, if you're so committed, like your life, to doing something that you're passionate about, there's something there for everybody that they can learn from.
Yeah.
And and that's probably a part of like my Enneagram 7 is just like my love for life. And like, I just, yeah, like I want, whether or not I disagree with you or not, I mean, I'm approachable, like person, you know, I'll be talking to like a drug dealer on the side of the road later today. Who knows? You know, it's like, I'll talk to you. Like, if you want to talk to me, it's like, you can see in people's eyes very quickly, whether or not they're going to engage with you or not.
Right.
And they care.
Right.
That's good, man.
So good.
And
So good.
So, wow.
Brent, I'm so pumped that you're our first guest because you set the bar high. You set
You
it so
did.
high, bro. Yes, you did.
I've never done anything like this. So thanks for
you nailed it. It was great.
Thanks for having me. And again, like my personality, I have a really hard time. Like Ben, you're like, boom, let's do it. I'm going to share. I'm going to go. Like, I love that about you. Me, I'm like, how can I, like, I'm still navigating. So I was a little bit like, oh gosh, I'm going to be on a podcast. Like, you know, I'm like, you know, the only person that's really going to call me out on what I said is probably my wife. But yeah, we'll have to have her on at some point because
that'd be super
she
cool.
has so much insight into what it takes to save your money, what it takes to say yes to certain things and no to certain things to get you where you need to go. Because
maybe we'll have her on by herself. And then let's have the two of them on.
You could ask the real estate journey and then like pop me up like in the center. It's like, like, you know, like bobble, like little, I don't know, however they do it on the internet these days.
The kids do it.
Well,
the kids.
I've known Brent. I've known you. You've known Kylie longer, my wife. But, you know, obviously you shot our wedding, and then it was pretty cool that you moved back to your Gold Street house because we lived across the street. And we've gotten to know Brent, his wife, his family really well, very quickly. And it was pretty funny because I bought this amazing house that we're in now, and I renovated it. And I thought we were going to move here, but then we decided not to. And so we stayed at Gold, and we got super close with these guys. And then it happened. Kylie was like, yeah, let's move. And we told, you know, our kids, and they accidentally told Luca. They told Luca, which is Brent's daughter.
Kids tell kids.
And we didn't even get to, we wanted to tell them ourselves. And just seeing the sadness on her face, how sad she was, it literally almost made me not move. Like, I was like, hey, I'm not moving because of this little girl that I love. I love this family. I'm changing everything. Like, my plans just changed because of this. And it's just a testimony of our friendship, the connection we had. And that was literally the only thing that made me not want to move, was just the relationship we built with these guys. And you guys really are the real deal, man. Like, I love the way you do family, community. You're the only ones on the street that, like, you drive by. You guys are on the front porch. You got neighbors walking by, hanging out, just this community aspect. You do life well. You include people. Thanks. You love people. You watch our kids. I don't know. I just
so good.
I feel like that season of life with you guys was like, honestly, it's my favorite time I've had at a house. It's been just so rich, and like, I want that, I need that. And so
well, it's still here. So, you know,
well, I know where to find you. So
that's good. Well, thanks. Yeah, no, it's been a good journey. And, you know, Ben, you challenge me because I don't always agree with your tactics or sometimes I do. And I'm like, oh, maybe, you know, I need to push harder in these areas. And so, like, I know, like, I think it's like surrounding yourself with awesome people, you know, around you that are going to push you or just be your friend in the midst of things, you know, because not everything is a transaction. Like, you can get really like hung up in this real estate world with transaction and having friendships that are benefiting you.
Yeah.
And I think like being down to earth and being yourself is gonna it's going to get you a lot more real friends in this world. And it's a long game,
So
you know,
good.
in 10 years, it's like, or 15 years or whatever of doing this, it's like, man, like you really want to like be awesome towards the people around you.
Yeah.
And have grace. So,
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you. I'm getting a text message whether or not I'm picking up one of my kids from school. So
Nice.
I'm gonna probably say yes. And then yeah.
Go do you, man.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Thank
Well, we appreciate
you
you
so much,
being on the
Brent.
show. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Where can people
Let's do
find you,
some-
Brent? If people want to like learn from you
just-
and be your friend. And
I mean, Brent Van Auken on Instagram, house renting. I don't post a lot on house renting anymore because I'm not. I mostly post when I'm trying to rent a house out because I'm not flipping as much now. But yeah, that or like website brentvanauken.com. And then I also, this is like my plug, I provide skateboards for underserved kids
Super cool.
as I can. And so Asere, which is ASERE_skateboarding. You can also find it on my Brent Van Auken Instagram page, a link. But yeah, that's like where my passion, that's where you could find me. Like I'm bringing a bunch of skateboards to Brazil in a couple weeks. And I sponsor some kids right now in Cuba. So they have skateboards. So
very cool.
that's like the passion Brent side that's coming out now.
Yep.
So
Love it.
Yeah. But yeah, cool.
All right, man.
Thank you, Michaela. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you too.
Maybe we'll be on this thing again sometime.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back.